You're probably like me, and when you walk along the edges of our beautiful waterways around here, be it the beaches or the lake or our rivers and the tributaries that feed into it, the one thing that can spoil that beauty in a click, in a moment, by as little as a look, is rubbish. Strewn there or lying there on the sand or on the bank, and you think, ah, look at that garbage. But some people can see it differently. Yes, they see the garbage, but they also see potential. They see inspiration. And Amy Jane Scully is one such person. Amy Jane Scully is an artist. She's a teacher and she is a beach forager. You see, she turns the rubbish on our beaches into these beautiful installations and sculptures. And you can see some of her work in an exhibition called Colour Scores at the Museum of Art and Culture at Lake Macquarie at the moment. See how she takes these sea-tumbled plastic and glass pieces, does this artistic alchemy, and creates something beautiful with it. But what makes junk such a good art material? Let's find out. Let's ask the artist herself. Amy Jane Scully joins us on the line. Amy, g'day.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Now, am I finding you on the beach somewhere scouring and foraging, or are you at the gallery?
Water, I'm at the gallery. I'm out the back of the gallery.
Oh, so if you were to wander down there, well, hopefully you wouldn't find anything, but tell us what sort of stuff you find and where it comes from in your head, where you go, this could be something in my artwork.
I like things that have had a bit of weather, a bit of erosion to them, I suppose. I'm looking for shapes, but usually what catches my eye is colour. So I've got to be careful of blue bottles and things that I don't want to touch.
Have you done that?
So, uh, close. I'm a bit of a bowerbird, so you're blue often you'll go, oh, look at that. Um, but I find things like, I don't know if you know those green, lime green things out of whippersnippers. Sometimes I find those. I find them quite a lot, actually,
Yeah.
which are good for me. I like using them in my pictures, but there's a lot of them strewn about.
From your foraging, before we get on to how you turn it into something positive, what goes through your heart and your head when you see that stuff on the beach? What's it say about all of us and our, I don't know, consume and dispose attitude?
I see a little bit here in when I'm in Sydney. It's not that there's so much of it every day. It's like it's good if I find little pieces of treasure. But then I realise I'm walking on a very small patch of beach near Cronulla, and there must be all around the world so much more. And I can't really do a lot about that. I can bring awareness to it, I suppose. But it worries me greatly. And it's sad, that this beautiful, what should be a pristine, our ocean is full of junk and it's getting into the fish and getting into the air that we breathe. And, we are plastic, we are Barbie.
That should be a movie. I like that
Yeah.
line. What was the jumping off point for you? Was it your reacting to the sight of this and thinking, this is dreadful, I could and should do something about it? Or did you come at it not so much from that environmental viewpoint, but from an artistic perspective?
From an artistic perspective, during lockdown, I could still go to the beach and I felt very privileged to be able to do that. And I didn't want to post that on social media and say I'm having, a good time here while we were all having such a difficult time. But I wanted to, I suppose, show what I was finding. And sometimes it was the beautiful things too. It was shells and sea sponges and, I was collecting those things. But alongside that, when I was collecting beach treasures to share, I would also find strange bits of plastic and lots of lids, all those water bottles that we drink. Yeah, that kind of thing. But they often would turn up in my pictures in the shape of other things, as the sun or the moon. Lots of metal I find down there too, lids from cans, things like that.
So you're collecting this stuff, and as you mentioned, you look for colour, being a bowerbird, you look for shapes. What then do you do to transpose that into art?
Well, I started to make little figures, and we dubbed them, called them foundlings, because they were sort of from lost
Mhm.
things. And they've all got names of Celtic fairies and goddesses. And they were, I suppose, reflective of my mood. And I teach life drawing and yoga, so I'm really interested in the body and expression of the body. So these little figures, if you move their leg one way or raise their arms or put their arms down, you can change the feeling that they're showing. So that's how they came. And they usually they're either riding on a wave or they have a bit of ground beneath their feet or the sun or the moon shining in the sky.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And how have you broadened this? Where have you taken this to now in your pursuit of colour, turning trash into treasure?
Yeah, well, I was collecting so much stuff that sometimes I would think, oh, I wonder how many, of those green things I've got, or that pink piece, or, I'd sort of noticed that the colours were lining up. And one day in my little studio at home, I just had a piece of pink paper and I put a few things together. And I called it Arrangement in Rows. I work at the Art Gallery of New South Wales as an educator, and I'd been conducting a group of kids for a program for Black Dog. It was a program called Culture Dose, which we did for kids experiencing anxiety. They'd come in and I had them all sitting in front of Roy de Maestre's work that's colour and music together. And I conducted them like a choir. So my little nod to Roy was to call my work a musical term, and that's how Colour Scores were born.
Oh, that's beautiful. And with this additional layer, as you mentioned, that Roy de Maistre found a correlation between colour and notes equaling musical notes. And now you've added another layer of environmentalism here as well. What's that mean to you, where you take art history, you take tradition, you respect tradition, and then you take it somewhere else and add another layer?
Well, I suppose I'm working for the goddess, working for the planet, and it's a way to, I see beauty. I'm probably pretty naive in some ways. I'm a bit of a big kid, but I see beauty everywhere, and that's what makes me happy, brings me joy. I'm studying art therapy too, and I find that engaging in art, and looking at colour, making pictures is what, brings my soul joy. And I suppose if it can bring that awareness to what's going on. So when you see the big pictures here at the gallery at the Museum of Art and Culture, last night people were looking and noticing the things that they could see up close because they're really large scale. They're big poster-sized prints that you can see of my work. So something tiny that I've found on the beach is blown up and it's kind of beautiful, but then it's in your face of, oh gosh, look at that we've left behind.
Do you then at that moment see reactions from people where suddenly beauty comes with a punch and they reflect on that?
I think it will dawn on them, yeah, because it draws you in. I suppose that's what glamour is all about. It's something that appears larger than we are, and it's got that allure of something shiny. But then when you look a little closer, I suppose there's a darkness behind that too. And it's not. I don't think it's our fault as consumers. I think that it's the way that the world, the way that we run the world with all these plastics. And there's lots of stuff in building materials where we are, in the Sutherland Shire. There's building going on everywhere, so a lot of those things find their way down, to the water's edge.
Yeah, yeah. Is it deeply personal? Do you, in other words, just collect alone, or do you encourage others to collect as well for you, and therefore you do something with that, or indeed encourage them to do something with what they collect?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm always sharing what I do. I suppose I like that instant gratification of popping things up online and getting other people to see them. And but then I've had during lockdown a few school teacher friends had their kids getting off their screens and going out to make in response to what I was doing, which was cool. And then here at the gallery, we've got a little making table set up. It's tiny chairs, so you're sitting down kid size, which I did last night, and I've got boxes of my coloured finds that you can make your own pictures with. So I really love seeing other people making too.
Yeah, and no doubt collecting too, because it helps, as you say, it helps Mother Nature
Yeah,
if we're all doing it.
that's right, if we all do a little bit.
And you're holding workshops as well, I believe, as well as being able to see your work. We can interact with you and learn from you.
Yes, they'll be doing a series of Sunday workshops here for kids, and then later in May there's an adults one. So I love seeing adults playing, particularly. The kids know how to do it. The adults kind of need a little bit of coaxing.
These two activities that lead to your artwork, to firstly collect and then create stuff. These two childlike impulses. What do you see it brings out in adults when they do it, when you do crack through and you do manage to encourage them to do it? What's it do for them?
If they're looking at organic material that reminds them of the natural world and they go, I must get back out to the beach. I've had that happen a few times. And looking up close, just spending that, meditative time, I suppose it is, with something natural, touching it, feeling it. It's very sensual, provides that sensory stimulation. And then with the colours, it's a bit like fuzzy felt. You've got usually I have some sort of boundary, a square frame, or here at the making table, it's set out in coloured rectangles. So you have a little boundary where you're working, and then you've got that opportunity of choice. You choose which colours, which arrangements you want to do. Some people make them quite 3D and stack things up, and some people go rogue and mix all the colours up together or do opposites. So that's fun too.
Choose your adventure.
Yeah, choose your own adventure. Absolutely.
Sounds good. Amy, it's been a delight yarning with you. Congratulations for what you do and how you help the earth, help all of us with what you do, not only giving us something to look at, but something to think about and maybe emulate.
Thank you. Yeah, get out there in the school holidays. You don't need expensive art materials to make art. We can, I suppose, like a mirror, show what we're using and repurpose it, reimagine it.
Yeah, good on you. Good on you. And people can go out to the Museum of Art and Culture at Lake Mac and see your works there, be inspired by it, and get out there and start collecting.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good on you.
Instagram or on my website as well. It's Amy Jane Vision on Instagram.
Thanks, Amy. Have a good day there on the shores of Lake Macquarie.
Thank you. I hope I'll find some new things.
Good on you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Scott. Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Likewise. Amy Jane Scully there, an artist taking part in the Absolute Colour exhibition that is open today at the Museum of Art and Culture at Lake Mac. And Amy's contribution, as you just heard, there is called Colour Scores, turning trash into artistic treasure. Up next, we'll hear